Hey, what's going on, guys? Anthropix here. So today I have a new video for you, and it's going to be my up-to-date, in-depth 2020 Senate prediction map. I know I did one about a week or two ago, but there have been some changes, so I just want to update the map and do a more in-depth look at it. First, though, I want to say thank you to everyone who watched my President Trump versus Joe Biden election prediction video. I really appreciate everyone who took time to watch it and like and leave a comment. So yeah, I really appreciate all those who did that. Now, with that said, let's go on to the Senate map itself. So, Oregon, going from west to east, Oregon I see as a safe state for the Democrats. There's not really much hope for a Republican winning there. Idaho, Wyoming, I think those are both going to be safe for the Republicans. South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, we are going to come back to. Oklahoma, I think, is safe. This is kind of back and forth, but New Mexico, for now, I'd put in the safe column. The Republicans really don't have a prominent candidate that's going up against for the seat. So I would put New Mexico in the safe column for now. If Susana Martinez, who's a former governor, runs, then maybe that state becomes a little more competitive. But for now, I really don't see something like that happening. The state of Alaska goes safe for the GOP. Arkansas and Louisiana, both are safe. Mississippi, I would put in the safe column as well. Tennessee, I'd put in safe, as well as West Virginia. Lindsey Graham in South Carolina, I'd put that safe as well. Now, for the Democrats in the East Coast, I have Delaware, New Jersey, Rhode Island, Massachusetts all being safe for the Democrats. I have the state of Virginia with Mark Warner also being safe. Relatively popular incumbent. There really isn't a great Republican candidate in Virginia that's going to go up against Mark Warner, so I put that in the safe column for now. The state of Illinois, I'd also put in the safe column for the Democrats. I think that's all the safe states right now. The Democrats have 43, Republicans have 42. So, the first one I want to talk about is Kentucky. I'm going to put Kentucky in the likely column for now. I know it's a lot of Democrats' dreams to go after Mitch McConnell and kind of vote him out, but being a presidential year, and I feel like President Trump's approval rating is definitely going to help in Kentucky. Probably help Mitch McConnell. Trump will probably outperform Mitch McConnell in Kentucky. And I know 2018 was, or 2019, Governor Andy Beshear won a very close election, but that was an off-year election, so I really don't think it's the same situation. So I think that Mitch McConnell will win re-election, probably by a likely margin in Kentucky. The state of Alabama, I'm going to put Alabama in the likely column. I've been saying this one for a while, whether it's Jeff Sessions or Tommy Tuberville, Doug Jones, it doesn't matter how popular he is. This is a presidential election year. Republican turnout will be much higher, and he's a Democrat in Alabama. He really doesn't have much going for him. So, Doug Jones, he's going to get voted out, I think probably by a likely margin, I'd say. Kansas, presidential wave year definitely helps out if Chris Kobach's the nominee. Chris Kobach makes this seat much more competitive. However, the fact President Trump's on the ballot will keep Kansas in the likely column. If this was another midterm election and the Democrats were actually able to get a strong candidate, then maybe Kansas could be a lean state, maybe a toss-up. But with the lack of a strong candidate and President Trump on the ballot, I think Kansas is a likely state. The state of Texas, John Cornyn, I'd put that in the likely column as well. John Cornyn's more popular as a senator than Ted Cruz was based off approval ratings. Also, not to mention, the Democrats don't have a Beto O'Rourke. They don't have a candidate that's very popular running for the seat. If one of the Castro brothers, like Joaquin or Julian, ran, I think those would be probably the Democrats' two best candidates they could run. However, both have said they have no intentions of running for the seat. So for now, I'd put Texas in the likely column. The state of Minnesota, I'd put in the likely Democrat column for now. I think Minnesota is a seat that if the Republicans really want to focus a lot of time and effort into, they might be able to get it down to a lean margin. But I just don't really see Tina Smith losing the state of Minnesota. I think if Minnesota is going to go red for a Senate seat, I would guess maybe 2024 at the earliest, I'd say. I just don't think for a state Minnesota's close enough to be a Republican seat for the Senate yet. I'd guess the governor's race would probably flip first, maybe in 2022, but I just can't see the Senate seat going red. The state of New Hampshire, I'd also put in the likely column. New Hampshire's interesting because I thought back in 2019 and early 2020, if Corey Lewandowski did decide to run, I thought this seat could be very competitive, actually. I still think Gene Shaheen would start off as an early favorite to win, probably in the lean column. But Corey Lewandowski said he didn't want to run. He's not running. So that goes. There really isn't a strong, notable Republican candidate in New Hampshire. I'd put this in the likely column for Jeanne Shaheen. And yeah, I really don't have much more to say about it than that. The state of Georgia, I would put the state of Georgia. This is David Perdue. David Perdue's the incumbent Republican senator. I would put that seat in the likely margin. John Ossoff is running for the seat against David Perdue, and not for the open seat, which, in my opinion, makes no sense politically. I mean, he'll have a much better chance of beating a non-incumbent, but he's running for the David Perdue seat, and I think David Perdue will win in a likely column. The special election I do want to come back to and go a little bit more in depth on. The state of Colorado, we've kind of known this for a while. Cory Gardner won by a plurality of the vote in 2014, which is a very heavily Republican wave year. And Colorado, in 6 years, 6 years is a lifetime in politics, Colorado has continued to trend more and more to the Democrats. Not to mention John Hickenlooper, the very popular former governor, is the candidate for the Senate for the Democrats. Colorado, a likely to lean margin. Probably. See, here's the thing. Cory Gardner's in the same situation as Dean Heller was in Nevada. He's trying to run as like more moderate, and he'll outspoke with Trump. But Cory Gardner votes for almost every single thing of Trump's. Whatever Trump says, pretty much Cory Gardner sides with him. So I think, honestly, I had it in the lean in the past. I'm probably going to keep in the likely column, though. I just think Cory Gardner really doesn't have much to go off of here. The state of Iowa. I think Joni Ernst is more popular than the polls are saying. I think Joni Ernst will likely win the seat, probably in about a lean column, I'd say. Lean to likely column, or likely to lean column. I'm going to leave it in likely for now, though, because I think Iowa will vote for President Trump by a few points less than last time, but still by a pretty big margin. And I think she'll have a lot of the down ballot effect in having President Trump on the ballot as well. So right now we know Republicans will get 48 seats. We know Democrats will get 46. Now the seats I have left, these are the ones I see actually being competitive, or somewhat competitive anyway. And these are the ones that I think will make or break the Senate seat. First one I want to start in is the state of Michigan. Gary Peters, incumbent Democratic senator, not really too well known. However, he seems to be well known enough, and almost all the polls out so far, Gary Peters does have a few points lead over John James, the Republican challenger. John James is an Iraqi war veteran. He has a very good resume, and I think he has a bright political future. However, I think Gary Peters does narrowly hold on to the seat, with Gary Peters winning in the lean margin. I think Gary Peters, what he's going to do is he's going to get his name out there and potentially run for governor against Gretchen Whitmer in 2022. I think Gary Peters has a much better chance at winning the governorship than winning the Senate seat, to be honest. So I would put Michigan in the lean Democratic state for now. The state of Georgia, the special election, I would put this seat in the lean Republican seat. So this is what I think will happen. The Republican governor, Brian Kemp, who appointed Kelly Loeffler to be the interim senator, she has some issues going on in the Senate right now. I think she was caught with trying to dump stocks before the coronavirus situation happened, which is pretty much illegal in terms of financial laws for the United States. That's using her position to get ahead financially, and the punishment and the severity of the punishment could be very big, and this can definitely negatively affect her. And it's already looking like that Doug Collins, who's one of President Trump's most loyal supporters in the House of Representatives, especially during the impeachment trial, is going to run against her in the primary. And I think Doug Collins, I thought he had a pretty good shot at winning the primary anyway. And now after this has come out, I'm almost certain Doug Collins is going to win this primary. Because the way it goes in Georgia is if no candidate gets more than 50%, it goes to a runoff between the top two candidates. And that will be Doug Collins versus Kelly Loeffler. And without a doubt, Doug Collins has a far better approval rating than Kelly Loeffler does. So I would put this seat in the lean column for now. But I think if Doug Collins is the nominee, it probably goes closer to the likely column than Kelly Loeffler with the lean column. The state of North Carolina. North Carolina is interesting because it's a Republican state. It has a history of voting for Republicans on the national level, although it did vote for Obama in 2008. President Trump overperformed in North Carolina compared to what a lot of Republican strategists thought he would. And I think Tom Tillis has his approval numbers were lower and have gone up in the past few months. I think that it has helped him out. Also, the fact that Cal Cunningham, the Democratic nominee, I mean, a good candidate, but not really someone that's going to be like, "Ooh, Cal Cunningham's running. We have this race in the bag." It really doesn't catch the eye as much. So I think Tom Tillis does win the state of North Carolina. I think probably by a tilt to lean margin. I'd say probably 2 or 3 points is probably best Tom Tillis will do. So I have Tom Tillis winning the state of North Carolina. Now, if President Trump wins re-election, the Republicans do have the Senate majority. However, if the President Trump does lose re-election, the Democrats win, then the Senate is still up for grabs technically. And this is a call. This is a big call, I think. The Democrats, Mark Kelly. I think Mark Kelly will ultimately win Arizona. Martha McSally has a very good resume as a former pilot in the Air Force, the war veteran as well. But she has not been able to translate that well into a political career and a political resonating appeal. She ran in 2018 against Kirsten Sinema, a moderate Democrat. She lost. It was close, but she lost. And then Doug Ducey appoints her to the other seat of John McCain. And to be quite honest, it is kind of a slap in the face of the voters that you could have voted for Martha McSally. You said, no, we don't want her. Then the governor goes and appoints her to another seat. It's not really the best image for optics for electing a senator. So I think Martha McSally, she's underperforming. Mark Kelly is definitely out fundraising her and out polling her. I think Mark Kelly probably wins within a similar margin to how Martha McSally lost in 2018. So now we're down to 2 states. We have the states of Montana and the states of Maine. Montana, I think Montana I'm more confident in. I think Steve Bullock running for the Democrats, I'll be honest, I'm being unbiased here as I can. Montana, Steve Bullock running is great news for the Democrats. It really is. The best Democrat they could run in Montana is Steve Bullock, I think. I think John Tester, who ran in 2018 and won last time, he's like a relatively popular incumbent, but Steve Bullock's probably one of the best Democrats they could run. Steve Daines, the Republican incumbent, is popular. President Trump is on the ballot. You don't see much vote splitting going on. However, in 2016, Steve Bullock as governor did win. But I feel like the Senate and the governorships are very different. Example would be my home state of Massachusetts. We will never vote for a Republican senator, but we'll elect moderate Republican governors all the time. Montana, they'll vote for President Trump at the national level, but who they vote for Senate and for governor is very, very different. And we have the incumbent senator running against a governor or former governor. This could be Rick Scott running against Bill Nelson, or this could be Phil Bredesen running for Senate against Marsha Blackburn in Tennessee back in 2018. 2 very different examples. This could really go either way. For now, I'm putting Montana either in the lean or the toss-up category, or the lean or tilt column for now. I think, honestly, Steve Daines is pretty popular. So is Steve Bullock, though. I'm tempted to put in the tilt column. I really am. And no, I'm going to put in the tilt column for now. I just think, out of respect to Steve Bullock and how popular a governor would be, I'm putting in the tilt column for now. This seat is definitely within striking distance for the Democrats. The state of Maine, Susan Collins, which I just found out something interesting, is Susan Collins is one of the most unpopular senators in the United States. And the simple fact is Susan Collins, she's been able to win a lot of tough elections before. Then again, the country hasn't been as polarized as it's been. But her voting record is still pretty moderate, I'd say. She has split with President Trump. She called out President Trump yesterday for him firing a national security guy or something like that. I'm not exactly too sure, but she spoke out against him. So she's still the moderate self. But I think after Kavanaugh, she's been the Kavanaugh and Neil Gorsuch, primarily Kavanaugh. She's been the Democrats' #1 target to get out. In Maine, a likely Democratic state at the presidential level, they're trying to do everything they can to get Susan Collins out. I think, honestly, at the end of the day, Sarah Gideon is a good candidate. I still put this in the tilt column for now. I think Maine's the one you definitely have to keep an eye on, whether you're a Republican or Democrat, because that really can go either way. So this is my updated Senate map. I have the Democrats net gaining 1 seat. So there it's 53-47 currently for the Republicans. By the end of the election day, I think the Republicans will still hold a narrow majority of 52, but the Democrats will pick up a seat and have 48. And the Democrats, if this happens, they're actually in pretty good standing going into 2022 with the Senate map. Because there's a retiring incumbent, I believe, in Wisconsin. Ron Johnson might retire. Pat Toomey always has close elections in Pennsylvania. So there's a lot of good opportunities for the Democrats to retake the Senate in 2022 if they can't do it in 2020. So this would be an interesting one to keep an eye on. But yeah, that's my Senate prediction. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe if you liked what you saw here today. Leave a comment down below and tap the bell icon so you get notified when I post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.